My name is Mike Hume and I'm Professor of Climate and Culture in the Department of Geography at King's College, London. Well, I think it's important to study climate and culture because the importance of climate change in today's world and all of the economic and political and scientific arguments and disputes that flow from climate change. Actually, there's something prior to that, which is to understand what climate is and the different ways in which people in different parts of the world and different cultures mean different things by this idea of climate. And so that's why I put these two ideas together, climate and culture, because if we're really going to understand climate change and the sort of policies and responses to climate change that might work in the world, we have to understand how people think of climate, and that is something that comes out of their cultural background, their cultural setting, the practices, the ways of life, the meanings, the imaginations that people attach to the weather and to climate. Well, I wanted to bring together a variety of different disciplines that have engaged with the relationships between climate and culture. So that meant that I wanted to draw together material from anthropology, from geography, from environmental history, from future studies, from the creative arts, all of which I think have got something very important to tell us about how people imagine this idea of climate. And so that lent itself quite easily then to these 6 volumes organised around these themes about how we know our climate and the different types of knowledges that people bring, the historical accounts and narratives. If we go back into history, we find different ways people have told their stories about climate. Climate and place, this is very much a geographical theme, how people in particular places understand their climate. Anthropology, important for understanding agency and how people understand what causes the weather to behave the way it does. Future studies, how we think of the future and all the imaginative practices that go with that. And then the creative arts, drawing attention to the many different ways in which in fiction, in poetry, in theatre, in film, in drama and sculpture, people now try to represent this idea of climate. So that lent itself to these 6 different volumes. So some of the contemporary debates that are really important for understanding how climate and culture interact with each other. I mentioned climate change obviously is one crucial debate in the world today. But I think also this whole question about how people want to live with different types of technologies in their world. Because some of the arguments around climate change is that we can only solve climate change by major new technological advances. On the other hand, there are people who actually say that technology is part of the problem of climate change. And so how people approach technology is a deeply cultural or culturally conditioned approach. Similarly, this whole idea that is being promoted in the world today around engineering the climate to suit our preferences. It's a little bit like this, the parallel case of human enhancement, using biomedical technologies to enhance the human. People are now talking about, well, using technologies in the sky to enhance the climate. So I think here again, these are culturally loaded questions and debates. What sort of future do we want for ourselves, for our children? What is the place of technology? How do our values influence whether we should do this or should not do that? And so I think all of these questions, contemporary questions, end up with this relationship between climate and culture.